Recently, I asked you guys what you wanted me to talk about, and one of the top posts was about all this age verification stuff and the implications on privacy. And it's not looking good, folks. I don't like all this crap. There's a few different things going on. There's laws on like the App Store that you're going to have to verify before downloading certain types of apps. Specifically, there's a federal law in the US that's going to be coming down the pipe probably that specifically deals with AI companions. The GUARD Act and the KIDS Act are two that I know of. Those deal with different things, but the main idea is they're going to be trying to implement age verification at either the operating system level or on the App Store level. So this is going to be for closed ecosystems like the iOS App Store or, the Windows Store, Mac OS, that sort of thing, Google Play Store. And that's only in the US. The UK already has laws that require age verification, and Brazil just got one. And there's several states too. I can go over some more details about that, but basically it's looking like a lot of the main countries involved that we just talked about are just going to require some kind of age verification, at least in some cases, though it doesn't seem like they're yet pushing to require everyone to do it. It's really only if you're going to be accessing certain specific services, at least in the US, the federal law. And then from my understanding from Discord and these other countries like the UK and Brazil and Australia, these countries are more requiring for social media in general. So that's going to be covering a whole lot more sites. It's not just AI companion apps. And the problem with these is that they basically go to these third-party services, these social media companies like Persona, and they do this so they can say, oh, we don't have all your data. We are not collecting it. This third party deals with it. We don't see it. And of course, you can't trust the third party either. I think the main concern, at least for me, is you give your info to these other companies, you can't trust them. You barely trust the social media site you're using, and then you have to give it to this other random third party who, God knows what they're doing with this information. We've had so many data breaches, it's like only a matter of time before these sites get breached. And then really it's just the severity of the information. Like when some random site gets breached and they steal your email address and like your contact details, that's bad enough. But then when there's an inevitable breach from one of these identity verification companies, then they're going to have like literal photos of your ID. Who knows what else information they're collecting about you, because we know that these companies are only going to exist basically to sell your data. So they're going to be collecting as much data about every single person as possible. And then they're going to have all that to leak when they get breached. And of course, the argument that they always have is such bullshit. They either say, oh, it's to protect the children from the online content that's adult. And that completely relies on the adult content being tagged as such, which is not always going to be the case anyway. It makes way more sense to implement parental controls and stuff like that to let there be child accounts that the parents can control and limit things, and then have these social media sites tailor their own site and their own platform to better control which types of content that they are allowing child accounts to access, that sort of thing. The government doing it, trying to do it for every single website on the internet, is just not going to work. Now, going back to the age verification at the operating system level, that is one way to do it that is arguably, I would say, probably preferable to each social media site that you're signing up to, requiring you to hand over your information to all these different third-party services that then have a million different opportunities to get breached and stolen. Whereas at least you could say with the operating system level, you're either dealing with Google, Microsoft, or Apple. Or, I mean, if you're Linux, that's another story. Anyway, the idea is that you then verify with one of those three companies, and then on their platform, iOS, Windows, or Android, there's just a API that a website or app can request, say, hey, is this person who's logged into the account actually over 18 or whatever? And then they get simply a yes or no. They don't have to receive all their information. And that's basically what Apple does with iOS 26.4. This is not in every country, but in the UK, for example, there is a thing for this, and then it's an API. So it's not like they hand over your information. It's only an age bracket. And again, while that's not ideal, it's probably preferable to the alternative, which is like what Discord is. They just verify with these no-name companies whose entire business is to sell and collect all your data. Whereas at least with the big three, they have other stuff going on that they don't have to necessarily profit directly from that. Again, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying they're probably going to start requiring this regardless. I mean, yes, I could always say, go and vote your representative out if they start doing this, but we all know how well that really works in the long run. If you want more details on the actual laws, there's a really good website called agelesslinux.org, and this focuses on Linux because obviously that's a concern where Linux is kind of decentralized. There's a lot of different distros. There's not a big centralized company that makes Linux. I mean, there is Ubuntu and Red Hat, which have companies behind them, but a lot of people who use Linux do it specifically for the privacy reasons, so it's not going to go over well if you make laws requiring that. Anyway, they have a really good site that talks about all the details. They talk about the different state laws, and those are kind of going to be a little bit moot if the federal one passes. But there are laws from states like Texas, Louisiana, and Utah, which would require commercially reasonable verification of your age, including with an ID. And then, of course, there's the federal one. It's still a bill, but, these things probably will pass. And the main thing from what I've understood from this is that it would require age verification at the App Store level if you want to download AI companion apps. And apparently they have wording in there that explicitly doesn't require you to wholesale, just require everyone to verify their ID, but they definitely would block you from downloading specific apps until you were to verify as being an adult. Although that doesn't necessarily mean that companies might just verify everyone just because. And again, that's just the US. Now, when it comes to Linux, this is probably not going to be built into a lot of distributions, even as an option. Though what I think would probably happen is a website would let you sign up and then maybe use a different device, like you have your Android or iPhone, and then you would log into the website from that device and then verify it with that account, and then you could log in, hopefully, from any device, not just the one you verified on. And I think that probably is the most likely scenario, because even if you look between platforms, if you verify on your phone and then you go to use your Windows computer, would they make you verify again? Hopefully not. Also, to be clear, it's not like these APIs, like for example with Apple and iOS, it's not like they restrict anything within the operating system itself, at least at this point. If you don't verify, it's literally just an API that third-party apps can use. So if you don't verify and you don't use any third-party apps ever and never install anything, it wouldn't really make a difference, but it would if you went to use apps that use that API. So I don't think it's the case where you would be required immediately upon sign up or trying to log into your Windows computer that you would have to do this. I mean, they might do that, but they shouldn't have to. In fact, at least with the federal law, I believe that's explicitly stated that they shouldn't do that, but it doesn't prohibit them. In any case, though, do I even believe this is all for the kids? I doubt it. It's always something else. These politicians always have some kind of ulterior motive. In all likelihood, the real reason is so that they can collect as much identifying information about every single user, and then they'll have companies that they can easily subpoena to collect that user information and find out who it is. That's probably the real reason behind it. And honestly, I think it's only a matter of time. Probably not super soon, but eventually they're almost certainly just going to be getting to the point where you're going to have to verify your identity with every account you make on any website. That's probably where it's going. Another thing to consider is just with AI and agents and everything on the internet becoming fake, dead internet theory. Already on Twitter, there's so many fake users, bots everywhere, fake comments on YouTube. I mean, it's insane. Really, what do you do with that? Maybe you do need human verification, not even age verification, but some kind of human verification. Of course, then you could say, well, you could spoof it, or maybe sign up for multiple accounts. How would you deal with multiple accounts? Someone could just have the real account and then a bot that they have tied to that. It's probably going to suck either way in the future. Either you have bots that just completely take over the internet, it's all garbage, or you require everyone to give their ID to prove their identity when signing up for an account. I don't have a solution. I think it's just going to suck either way. Yes, I'm sounding cynical and pessimistic, but it seems like that's just where it's going to be. AI has kind of been making online discussion really worse. It's bad enough when people just copy and paste ChatGPT responses. It's already obnoxious, let alone when they have the entire account is not even interacted with by a human at all. It's all just AI, and that's just gonna get worse. I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think. I don't really have a solution. I don't have a thing you can do now to fix it. It's just gonna suck. I'm gonna stop before I just make myself even more mad. Anyway, if you want to keep watching another video of stuff you can do right now, is there's a bunch of Windows settings you can change. I'll put that link right there you can click on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.